After the Gaokao results were released, Zhu Ma suddenly decided to repeat the year with the school bell. His friends teased him. What about your white moonlight back home? Aren't you both supposed to go to Qingda together? Gu Xingjian then belatedly realized. Shen Zi. It's fine. I'll tell her. She'll definitely repeat with me. After all these years, she couldn't live without my family. I was stunned for a long time, silently leaving as if I knew nothing. That night, I opened the college application system and filled in the university I had long dreamed of. He doesn't know. He has the school beauty he wants to pursue. And I have my own dreams to chase. The promise to attend Tsinghua together was never for him. Gu Xingjian's words left me momentarily stunned. Even my breath seemed to stop. Working hard to get into Tsinghua was a promise we made together since high school. After so many days and nights of joint effort, the dawn finally appeared. But he didn't even discuss it. He just decided to repeat the year on his own. Inside the private room, the voices of friends continued to echo. How do you know that Shenzi will definitely agree to repeat the year with you? Her grades are so good. Peking University is definitely within reach. Gu Xingjian let out a reluctant laugh, as if he'd heard a joke. Exactly because her grades are good. She could definitely score well even if she repeated a year. But if I don't go to college with her, how will she manage? He said this with a touch of helplessness. After a moment of daze, a burst of laughter erupted among friends. That's right. Shinzi relies entirely on your family's support for her living expenses. Without our young master Gu, how would she have the money for tuition? Isn't it just typical of young master Gu? He simply brings his white moonlight home, making sure she can't even think of escaping. Gu Xingjian looked up from the game and scoffed. Ever since she moved into my house, her attitude towards me has done a complete 180. I asked her to retake a year with me. And does she dare say no? Another friend couldn't help but interject. Xingjian, I think what you're doing isn't very fair. You should at least discuss it with them first. Right. Gu Xingjian's fingers paused on the screen as he impatiently replied. There's nothing to discuss. I've already promised Qinran. I'll just message her on WeChat later. If she finds out that I repeated the year for Qinran, who knows what kind of fuss she would make. Besides, it wasn't a hasty decision. Qinran was already depressed after failing her college entrance exam, and she just hoped I could accompany her for a repeat year. Hearing this, several friends nodded knowingly inside. That's true. The beautiful Qin is not only the campus goddess but also understanding and has a good character. Unlike that Shenzi, who spends all her time buried in her studies with a pair of glasses on. Like a big dull gourd. She really can't compare to the campus goddess. And she's a vampire. 2. Laughter echoed back and forth. Outside the door, I felt as if I had fallen into an ice pit. Completely cold all over. I really wanted to burst in, grab Gu Xingjian by the collar, and question him. Yet my feet felt as if they were glued to the ground. Unable to take that step forward. In the end, I still couldn't muster the courage. All I could do was silently leave, wandering back home in a daze. It was only when I returned to my room that the tears finally flowed freely. In my mind, Gu Xingjian's words played on repeat. I still can't understand why he would give up on the university he longed for. Tsinghua. Clearly, we had worked so hard together for so long, finally making it through the Gaokao. Even just a second before walking into the dining hall, I was still happy about our scores, imagining that we could both get into Tsinghua and embark on a wonderful college life together. So I never imagined it. I fought with all my strength for a future for both of us. Yet he could easily give it up for just one person. Clearly. On that rainy day after my parents passed away in middle school, he stayed outside my door for 3 days and nights, afraid that I would do something foolish. In the end, he said that his parents would be my parents from now on. And he took me back to the Gu family. So what do these guardians mean in the present view? Are they merely his pity and charity? In fact, I don't have to follow him in everything. It's just that in these past few years at the Gu family, my uncle and aunt have treated me very well. Like their own daughter. In my heart, I always felt that they were good to me only because of Gu Xingjian. During the days of being dependent on others, I certainly had to prioritize Gu Xingjian in everything. But now, my scores have been blocked. And this morning, both Tsinghua University and Peking University called with admissions offers. They even provided very generous enrollment rewards. So this time, even without him, I am determined to get into Tsinghua University. Because he has to accompany the school beauty for a repeat year, does that mean I should be expected to do the same? I'm not foolish enough to joke with my own future. Since he has someone to be with, I also have my own vast sky to chase after. The road ahead has diverged. So let's each head our separate ways. After sorting out my thoughts, my mood has improved quite a bit. Everything will pass. It's really not a big deal. Don't waste your energy on people and things that no longer deserve it. Just as I was about to go to the bathroom to wash away the tear stains on my face, Gu Xingjian suddenly called me. My finger instinctively pressed to answer the call. Zi. Hurry up and come out. I'm already at the door. Everyone else is here. We're just waiting for you. I pondered for a moment before recalling that tonight was Gu Xingjian's treat to celebrate everyone's success in the college entrance examination. I tidied myself up a bit and got into the car to the restaurant. While driving, Gu Xingjian stole a glance at me and said, "Ge, why do you seem so aloof today?" I chuckled. No, not at all. To smoothly enter university, I now just want to pretend nothing happened. After arriving at the cafeteria, Gu Xingjian looked around and asked, "Is Qin Ren not here yet?" His brothers teased, "How could we possibly invite the campus beauty? It'll have to be young Master Gu who steps in." Everyone is joking freely, completely indifferent to my presence next to Gu Xingjian. Of course, they all see me as the Gu family's vampire. Gu Xingjian's lackey. Even I have forgotten that I was once Gu Xingjian's unrequited love for several years. After he dialed the phone, I heard a girl's sobbing voice coming from the other end. Immediately, Gu Xingjian frowned and, after hanging up the phone, apologized to everyone, saying, "Qin Ran's mood isn't quite right. I'll go check on her first. You all eat." Then, everyone exchanged glances awkwardly, finishing the meal in silence. Upon returning home, Gu Xingjian sent a message. "Zi, are you asleep? Don't take the things of the night to heart. Next time, I'll take you out to dinner alone." I glanced at my phone, not intending to reply, because I couldn't manage to not take it to heart. I've decided to repeat the year. Let's take the entrance exam for Qingda together next year. Qin Ran is suffering from depression now. If we abandon her, she'll definitely do something reckless. Don't worry, with our grades, it's just a matter of getting into Tsinghua a year later. But for her, it could be a matter of life and death. We can't just stand by and do nothing. The news ends here. And I still don't plan to reply to him. There's a fire brewing in my heart. I've said so much, and it's all for Qin Ran's sake. Why should her life or death be saved at the expense of my future? Since Qin Ran transferred to our school in sophomore year, I can no longer remember how many times Gu Xingjian made exceptions because of her. Perhaps, boys just like girls who are as beautiful and generous as her. During my silent days of hard study, Qin Ran replaced me as the only girl in the small group led by Gu Xingjian. Her laughter was bright and cheerful, and she always got along well with the boys. Compared to my gloomy demeanor, Qin Ran was certainly more likable. So during that time, I thought Gu Xingjian had developed a liking for Qin Ran, and I gradually began to distance myself from them, giving them space. But each time I intentionally distanced myself, Gu Xingjian would pull me back in. He assured me, "Qin Ran is just being friendly and playful with everyone. Everyone enjoys joking around. So why are you running away? Don't worry, I have no thoughts about her. You live in my house. Are you afraid I might change my mind?" I believed him and didn't think too much about it. After all, Qin Ran's personality really does attract those around her like light. But attraction doesn't necessarily mean affection, right? But later, unknowingly, Gu Xingjian had many secrets with her that even I was unaware of. It seemed that between the two of them, I was the outsider, even now. He abandoned our agreement and decided to accompany Qin Ran for a repeat year, and I was the last to be informed. My thoughts were tumultuous for a long time, suddenly pulled back by a WeChat notification. What's wrong with you? GE. You didn't reply to my messages all night. I quickly typed a few words on the screen. I fell asleep last night. Then I glanced at the time. Today was the day our homeroom teacher had gathered us to go to school for our diplomas and graduation photos. By the time I arrived in the classroom, I saw Gu Xingjian and Qin Ran were already there. The spot next to Gu Xingjian was originally my desk. But now she was sitting there. When I walked near them, Gu Xingjian awkwardly said to me, "Ziyi, there's an empty seat in front of me. Why don't you sit there?" I shook my head. "No, it's fine." Then she went straight to sit beside her best friend Lin Qian at the back. Gu Xingjian noticed that I was ignoring him, his expression cold. A classmate who got the graduation photo first exclaimed, "Our class representative is just too photogenic." Right. She looks so good even without makeup in her school uniform. She's totally the heroine of a youth literature. Hearing this, Gu Xingjian triumphantly snatched a graduation photo. Soon after, I received a photo and a message from Gu Xingjian on my phone. "Look. We look like a perfect match standing together." The photo specifically captured the two of us from the group picture. The girl's gaze was clear yet tinged with sadness, while the boy smiled broadly. Leaning slightly towards her, I felt a wave of emotions and turned off my phone. I began to chat with Lin Qian about the gossip at school. Just as we were getting into the conversation, suddenly a snap hit the top of my head. "Come out for a moment," said Gu Xingjian. I slowly walked to the hallway, and Gu Xingjian turned my shoulder abruptly, forcing me to face him directly. "GE, what have you been fussing about these days? I've sent you several messages, and you haven't replied." I retorted flatly. "I haven't been up to much. I'm doing just fine. If you have time, why not care a bit more about Qin Ran?" After a moment of silent confrontation, Gu Xingjian completely lost his patience. "Xin Zi, how come I never realized you were this petty before? I just went to take care of Qin Ran a bit at the last gathering. Did you really have to give me such a hard time over it?" I turned away with a cold expression, refusing to look at him any longer. Gu Xingjian adjusted his breath and softened his tone, saying, "All right. Last time was my fault. But don't take the retake too seriously. With your scores, who knows? You might even rank among the top in the province if you take it again." He had wanted to say more, but Qin Ran suddenly popped up. "Xingjian, come help me choose which tutoring class to go to." Gu Xingjian nodded and, as usual, pinched my cheek before walking over. "Good." I secretly sneered. Gu Xingjian might think that I would still obey his decisions in everything, just like before. So he naturally assumed that I would give up the progress I had worked so hard for and repeat the year with him. After all, in his eyes, since I received financial support from his family, I shouldn't act like an ingrate. Fortunately, I had already made up my mind to apply to Qin University. I glanced at the time. I had to rush to the nearby mall to work at the arcade. Though the scholarship from Qin University was enough to support me through 4 years of college, since I decided no longer to rely on Gu Xingjian, having as much money as possible was naturally better. Moreover, this way I also had an excuse to avoid Gu Xingjian. But it wasn't long before I realized that Gu Xingjian and his group had also appeared in the arcade. Qin Ran was the first to notice me. "GE, you're working here. Is Gu Xingjian not giving you enough pocket money?" I busied myself at the front desk, not saying a word. Gu Xingjian's eyes twitched slightly as he immediately pulled out his phone and transferred some money to me, saying, "Ziyi, why didn't you say earlier that you ran out of money? I'll take you to quit your job with the boss right now." I threw down the rag in annoyance and said, "Gu Xingjian, I'm not short on money. I just want to experience life for a change." Then, a smile squeezed out from my face. "I hope the customers have a great time." Perhaps unable to tolerate my sardonic tone, Gu Xingjian's expression darkened. Let's go. We'll enjoy ourselves. We can't control what some people want to do. I watched as they coordinated seamlessly in the arcade. These are all things I'm not good at. Gushington likes exciting and lively games, while I just prefer to stay quietly. So I've never been the type of girl that Gushington would like. Taking me in is really just out of pity. Isn't it? After coming out of the bathroom, I found a familiar figure blocking my way, his arms outstretched, confining me to a small space in front of his chest. Gee, how long do you plan to sulk around with me? Come on, tell me, what exactly made you unhappy this time? I looked into his earnest eyes, wanting to say that I didn't want to repeat a year, that I hoped he could join me at Tsinghua University. But then he continued, if it's because of Qinran, I must say something. I don't have anything with her. Aren't you being a bit petty by always throwing a fit because of her? We're all going to the tutoring class together soon. We're going to retake the year together. And we'll all be at Tsinghua University next year. You shouldn't always be at odds with her. After talking for a long time, it was all about her. Her. I lowered my head and chuckled in anger. Just a moment ago I had naively thought that he might be willing to let go of Qinran. At that moment, I suddenly heard Qinran's voice near my ear. Sorry, I didn't know you guys were here. Why is it that whenever Gushi-John and I are alone together, we always get interrupted by Qinran? I pushed Gushing-John away, preparing to leave, but Qinran grabbed me. Shinzi. Xingjian has been completely distracted these days because of you. Can you stop always having these conflicts with him? We're all classmates. Is it really necessary? I didn't want to pay her any mind and brushed past her shoulder. But perhaps it was too slippery on the ground. Qinran almost fell. However, Gu Xingjian managed to catch her. Xingjian, I'm fine. I just don't want to see you always stiff because of me. How about I go apologize to GE? Qinran's eyes immediately turned red at the corners. As she spoke, she was about to stand in front of me and bow, but she was pulled back by Gu Xingjian. Why are you apologizing to her? She just bumped into you. Besides, you didn't do anything wrong. She's the one making a fuss. Always sulking because she has nothing better to do. I bit my lip and left without a word. After I left, a voice came from behind. Don't mind her. It's all my fault. After the part-time job ended, it was already evening. When I came out, I saw Gu Xingjian still standing at the entrance. Although he still wore a stern face, he took my hand and spoke softly. Let's go to the bar. Many classmates are there. And Lin Qian is too. After we're done, we'll go back together. I couldn't think of a reason to refuse. So I let him lead me. After arriving at the bar's private room, Lin Qian and I sat together. I watched Qinran playing dice and drinking with them, completely blending in. Everyone deliberately created opportunities for her and Gu Xingjian to flirt, joining in the commotion without caring at all whether I would feel embarrassed. But that's understandable. In the eyes of everyone, I was essentially adopted by the Gu family. So what right did I have to date Gu Xingjian? Seeing Qinran lose more and more at the dice game. She had already downed more than 10 drinks. A childhood friend of Gu Xingjian pretentiously exclaimed, "Oh, how can we let Qin the schoolflower lose so much? You guys don't even think about easing up a bit." He deliberately glanced at Gu Xingjian while saying this. If we want to ease up, we also need to see if Brother Gu agrees. Right after that, it seemed that Qinran really had too much to drink. Unexpectedly collapsing onto Gu Xingjian, everyone erupted into loud cheers. Gu Xingjian glanced at me without leaving a trace. Then, with anger in his voice, said, "Don't take your jokes too far." If it were in the past, I would have walked away angrily, and most of the time, Gu Xingjian would have chased after me immediately, laughing and trying to coax me. But now, I didn't react at all. Qinran, buoyed by the alcohol, hooked her arm around Gu Xingjian's neck, whispering something in his ear. I only saw Gu Xingjian's ears turn a bright red in an instant, and it spread to his neck. With a cold gaze, Qinran watched the two of them closely pressed together, her upper body clad only in a tank top. continuously rubbing against Gu Xingjian. The posture was unbearably ambiguous. After a while, Gu Xingjian suddenly pressed Qin Ran's face into his embrace, taking his jacket to cover her upper body, shielding her from everyone's gaze. That level of intimacy had never been directed at me before. Then, he picked up Qin Jian and said, "She's drunk. I'll take her home first. You all continue to have fun." After that, he didn't spare me another glance and disappeared into the private room. I opened a bottle of beer and downed it, still feeling unsatisfied in my heart, even though I had already decided to give up and had done so much mental work on myself. But when I truly saw them together in an intimate scene, my heart couldn't help but feel like it was being grasped. I put down the bottle and silently left the private room. Lin Qian also came out with me, unable to resist cursing loudly by the side of the street. "I've seen Gu Xingjian pursue you like you were his white moonlight. And now he's changed his mind in an instant." When she noticed I was feeling off just now, she wanted to go remind Gu Xingjian, but I stopped her. "Forget it. I don't plan on having him in my future anyway, so why spoil the mood?" After getting home, I washed up quickly and lay down on the bed, feeling groggy. I opened my phone and saw the teacher everyone in the class group, reminding us that the deadline for volunteer applications is in 3 hours. Then, Gu Xingjian called me. "Sorry, I had promised to go back with you today. But with Qin Ran suddenly like this, I can't do anything about it. I heard from others that you drank alcohol last night, but I'm relieved that you had Lin Qian to accompany you back home." I just reported the name of the repeater to the class teacher, and in a few days, we will attend the tutoring class together, just like in high school. Perhaps tinged with guilt towards me, Gu Xingjian's words were particularly gentle at this moment. According to his usual temperament, he would have given me the cold shoulder for several days. Even if he were the first to back down, he would always maintain a proud tone. Then I would obediently follow his lead and forgive him. After all, how could someone who truly cares let the person feel embarrassed? But this time, his rare tenderness made me feel a profound sense of loss. Why haven't you said anything? Aren't you the one who wants to go to Xinjiang? How about we go together in a few days? I've heard the Golden Mountains there are very beautiful." Knowing this, actually repeating a year together isn't all that bad. We can spend whole days together like we used to. And besides, your grades are good. Repeating a year will be no pressure for you. Qin Ran's grades aren't as good as yours, so she'll probably have to struggle for another year. Actually, she's a pretty nice girl. You're too reserved. You should interact with her more. Otherwise, if you go to college like this, it will be easy to end up with no friends." He rambled on and on, as if he were drunk and mumbling. It turns out that in his heart, this is how he compared me to Qin Ran. Having said so much to me, most of it was actually for Qin Ran's sake. He was worried she would be lonely repeating her studies alone, and he feared that I would not get along with her if we both repeated the year together. I couldn't help but ask the question I had always wanted to ask. "So, you've really decided to go against our agreement and accompany Qin Ran in repeating the year, haven't you?" In the midst of speaking, there was a choked-up feeling that I didn't even notice myself. I thought that if he could honestly tell me the answer, share his choice with me, even if he chose Qin Ran, I would still bless them. Everyone can still be friends. After a while, he lazily said, "Next year we'll go to Qingda together again. That doesn't count as breaking our promise, right, Ziyi?" After receiving his final answer, I managed to force a smile at the corners of my mouth. "Yeah, you still know how to find bugs." After all, he chose no one, and at the same time, he chose everyone. Since he doesn't want to make a decision, then I'll do it. I no longer waited for him to say anything. I made an excuse that I needed to sleep and hurriedly hung up the phone. For the last time, I opened the college application system to check the universities I had already filled in. After confirming everything was correct, I turned off the computer. At this moment, the hour hand has passed 12, and the application for volunteering has ended. There is no room for regret anymore. That's all right. The path is chosen by oneself, so one must walk it alone. Going to university alone might be quite an adventure. I just close my eyes. And his face, Gu Xingjian's, frequently flashes in my mind. There are the desires he expressed on rainy nights, the carefulness and caution with which he looked at me, and the current impatience and irritability towards me. We met in middle school, accompanying each other, and the old me never imagined we would end up going down different paths. Perhaps people, at some point, are compelled by time to learn how to separate, only then to understand that in this world, no one will stay for them forever. Perhaps I've thought too much. I fell asleep repeatedly throughout the night in fits and starts. When I woke again, it was already noon the next day. I opened my phone, and most of the messages were from Gu Xingjian. I passed by him and opened the message my best friend had sent me. Quick, take a look at what your Gu Xingjian did last night. And a screenshot from Weibo. In the Weibo screenshot, there's a series of photos taken by Qin Ran of the sunrise by the seaside. Many students from various schools are commenting below, eager to see more. The campus beauty is about to make her official announcement. After the college entrance exams, so many couples have announced. And today we finally have good news from the campus beauty. I told you, Qin the campus beauty and Gu the young master should have been a couple long ago. I felt something was off between them back in school. Everyone notices they came out wearing slippers from a nearby hotel. It seems, you all understand evil smirk. I enlarged the photo and saw Gu Xingjian's profile, deeply gazing into Qin Ran's eyes in the soft light of the sunrise. In that instant, my heart seemed to freeze, and Qin Ran's caption laid bare her declaration of ownership. The morning light knows who is waiting for the sunrise, while I know who will accompany me toward the future. Many people liked the comment below, and Qin Ran's reply was also ambiguous. Even many of Gu Xingjian's brothers were making a racket in the comments section. A sense of gloom filled my heart. So, they had been together last night. Fortunately, at that time he could still comfort me while having a romantic date with his new girlfriend by the seaside. Sadness surged once again, however, thinking about the college entrance exam application from last night. I was grateful that I didn't give up at the last minute. Otherwise, being by their side would have turned me into a glaring clown. I turned off my phone screen and forced myself to sit on the balcony, letting the wind blow away my restless thoughts. Suddenly, there was a knock on the door. The visitor was Gu Xingjian. Gu Xingjian had dark circles under his eyes. His hair was a mess, and he was holding a bag in his hand. I stood frozen in place until he stuffed the things from the bag into my hand. I specially picked these shells for you. Do you like them? I've called you so many times, and you didn't answer. I originally wanted to ask if you wanted to have those desserts you like. He ruffled my hair and then pulled out a cake box from behind his back. Still, I bought it. Look at how nice I am to you. I clutched the shell in my hand, holding back the tears that threatened to spill from my eyes. Then I mustered the courage to ask him, "Did you go to the beach last night?" He took out the dessert while casually replying, Oh, he thought I didn't use Weibo, so he didn't know about the photos that Qin Ran posted. He cut the dessert into small pieces and presented them in front of me. Here, have a piece of dessert, and stop throwing a tantrum. I waited in line for more than half an hour to get this, and it tastes best now. Just as he was about to feed the snack from the spoon to my mouth, I coldly turned my face away. He gave a wry smile and threw the spoon onto the plate. Fine. If you don't want to eat, then don't. I selected a holiday tutoring class with Qin Ran. Let's get up early tomorrow and go together. Don't go looking for a summer job. It won't pay much anyway. And if you don't study for 2 months, don't come crying to me when you fall behind. I shook my head in refusal. I'm not going to tutoring classes. You all can go. I have to go out soon, so please leave my room for now. Gu Xingtian was stunned for a moment, then frowned and said, "Why not go? Didn't we agree on this before? Is it just to spite me?" He reached out to pull me, but I dodged away. "Can you stop messing around? I didn't sleep much last night, and I'm really tired right now. Besides, we're all going to tutoring classes. How can I rest assured with you alone? I stared into his eyes and said earnestly. First of all, I'm not a child. I don't need you to worry about me all the time. Besides, isn't it fine that I'm not going to tutoring classes? It saves you from being interrupted by me and Qin-ran. Gu Xingjian let out a deep sigh. I know that at this moment, he has little patience left. So, you're still angry because of Qin-ran. I just don't understand. Why do you girls love to be jealous so much? Can't you be a bit more generous like Qin-ran? I was so angry with him that I nodded slightly. Yes. In your heart. I can't compare to Qin-ran. Then go find her. And don't come looking for me again. Gu Xingtian's temper flared up. Xin Zi. I've already given you a way out. Don't be ungrateful. I've already signed you up for the tutoring class. You can go or not go tomorrow as you please. Having said that, he stood up and strode out. I had no intention of stopping him at all. As he reached the door, he said with a dark expression, with your bad temper, it's no wonder your only good friend is Lin Qian. The last sentence pierced my heart like an icicle. Indeed. The closer you are to someone, the better they know how to stab at your heart. I threw the sweetheart he bought on the table into the trash can. Even the shell he casually bought was tossed into the trash can. Watching the sunset sink down from the balcony, I shook my head. I shouted to myself in my heart, Xin Zi, don't sink into despair anymore. I opened my phone and decisively blocked Gu Xingjian's contact information. Then I quickly opened a job recruitment app and searched for a daytime tutoring part-time job for myself. I opened the computer again and started learning video editing and other skills. I want to keep myself busy so that I don't have time to think about other people and things. The next day, I woke up early, got ready, and prepared to go tutoring. While I was agonizing over what to wear, I realized I hardly had any clothes besides my school uniform. Then, I sent a message to Lin Qian. Are you free to go shopping at the mall after my part-time job tonight? The other side quickly replied, I'm always at your service. Just in time for you to see my new look. Suddenly, a phone call came in, and I instinctively answered it. Xin Zi, you really are something. You actually blocked me. Cut the nonsense. Are you here or not? The teacher is about to call the roll for attendance. Gu Xingjian's tone was somewhat urgent and impatient. I said lightly, I told you, I'm not going. At a time like this, don't be stubborn. I already put your name down. You can't just say you're not going now. I've already paid the money. I replied irritably. I never said I would go to the tutoring class with you. That was your decision. Fine. You're good at your studies. So not attending the tutoring class will still let you score high next year. I won't bother with you then. Hearing his voice, I knew he was really annoyed. At that moment, I also heard Qin-ran's complaint beside him through the phone. No way. She's using your stuff and still dares to get angry at you. I hung up the phone and adjusted my expression in front of the mirror. Who cares what others think? Just do what you believe is right. The family I tutor is very easy to get along with. The little girl is in the 6th grade. Her grades are not too bad, and she is very obedient. So teaching her is quite relaxed. On the first day of the trial lesson, it ended early. The little girl expressed that she really liked me and even brought out her good friend, Domi. Domi is a round little orange cat. The girl placed it in my arms and said, Sister, I like you coming here. Even Domi likes you. I smiled and patted the girl's head, feeling that this environment was very happy. After a whole day filled with activities, it feels like a lot of the clutter in my mind has been cleared away. Thinking about my plan to go shopping with Lin Qian in the evening, I opened my phone to check if she was ready. Unconsciously scrolling through my moments, I stumbled upon a photo posted by Qin-ran. It was a side view of Gu Xingjian sleeping at his desk. Caption: Thank you for being with me. A simple picture that instantly pulls me back into memories. During the 3 years in high school sitting next to Gu Xingjian, he often leaned on the desk to sleep. Sometimes, when I felt tired from studying, I liked to quietly watch his profile. Countless times I wanted to stretch out my finger and slide it down his prominent nose. Now, he is no longer my desk mate. Nor is he solely my Gu Xingjian anymore. Teacher Shen. What's wrong? Perhaps lost in thought. She didn't even notice when the girl's mother came over. I shook my head. It's nothing. I've cut up some fruit. You've been tutoring my Guogui for so long. You must be tired. Have some fruit to replenish your energy. Looking at the warm and cheerful family, a sense of hesitation arose in my heart. I quickly stood up and said, "No, Auntie. I have an appointment tonight. So I'll leave first," Auntie said. Teacher Shen is off to meet her boyfriend. Right. I just saw you lost in thought, staring at your boyfriend's photo. I awkwardly smiled, my heart fluttering uncontrollably for a moment. After leaving, I took a taxi following the location Lin Qian had sent me. When I got out of the car, I saw a stunning short-haired beauty with dyed red hair and a stylish outfit smiling at me. You really have changed so much. I couldn't react for a moment, but she truly looked amazing. Then, she immediately took me out shopping for all sorts of things. On the way, she noticed me always lost in thought and began to scold me for being useless. It's just a man. Once you're at Tsinghua, what kind of quality guy won't you find? Besides, if you just put a bit of effort into your appearance, you could easily captivate that Gu Xingjian and make him regret it. In the following days, Lin Qian took me to get a hairstyle, replaced my oversized school uniform, bought several exquisite dresses fit for a wealthy girl, and even personally did my makeup. Under her transformation, the person in the mirror truly astonished me. Lin Qian quickly pulled out her phone to take a picture of me, praising as she snapped, "Sister, you perfectly suit this style. With your cool face paired with an exquisite dress and makeup, you're totally the high-class girl from a Korean drama." I felt a bit shy at her compliments, and then before I knew it, I realized she had shared all her photos on her moments. I have such a beautiful best friend. Of course I have to show her off. Soon, the class group suddenly had a lot of new messages. Shinzi must have had her looks sealed by the school uniform before. She's too beautiful. Oh. From now on, Shinzi will be my wife. Wifey love heart emoji. Seeing everyone so enthusiastic, I thought for a moment and replied in the group, "You're too kind. It's all thanks to Kuyan's good photography angles." At that moment, Qin Rant's sister immediately followed up on my reply. "Shinzi really only looks good in profile." In that instant, there was a brief silence in the class group. Lin Qian couldn't bear to watch. She mumbled to herself and quickly snapped a live picture of my face, sending it straight to the group. Suddenly, the classmates were even more amazed, showering me with compliments. Even the usually strict class monitor is posting in the group. Turns out the monitor looks so good after dressing up. Everyone should learn from the monitor. Excelling in both grades and looks thumbs up. Actually, Shinzi looks great even without makeup. She just usually buries herself in her studies and doesn't show her face much. Agreed one. The person who just subtly criticized me is bubbling up again. It's just a hairstyle that flatters the face shape. But this time, I didn't need to fight back as many classmates spoke up for me. Not long after, my phone received the admission notification from Tsinghua University. I held Lin Qian tightly and felt happy for a long time. The dream I had worked so hard for has finally come to fruition. But at that moment, Gu Xingjian called. "Did you go shopping at XX Square? It's a bit late. I'm driving over to pick you up." Before I could refuse, the other side had already hung up the phone. I silently opened the ride-hailing app, and before the page had even refreshed, Gu Xingjian was already standing not far in front of me. He was accompanied by Qin Ran. Our eyes met, and Gu Xingjian seemed quite shocked. Even Qin Ran beside him was stunned for several seconds. After a moment of stiff eye contact, Gu Xingjian finally came back to his senses and walked towards me. The astonishment in his eyes was hard to suppress, and he blurted out, "You look pretty good with light makeup. Very natural. When I first saw you just now, I didn't even dare to recognize you." Thank you." He pointed towards the car. "Let's go. I'll take you back." I shook my head. "No. There are too many people. It's a bit stuffy." And I plan to sleep with Lin Qian tonight. Gu Xingjian's eyes clearly showed disappointment. So you aren't going home to stay tonight? Ahoo. At this moment, the taxi Lin Qian ordered had arrived. After we got in the car, she couldn't help but say, I told you, just now. When Gu Xingjian saw you, his eyes went wide. When he just said that you looked good with light makeup. Very natural. I saw Qin Ran secretly tearing off her super thick fake eyelashes. I smiled back at her, thinking that Gu Xingjian's gaze was so easily captivated. Then his affection didn't seem so precious after all. After receiving the acceptance letter, the school even specially posted a list of honors on the bulletin board. I looked contentedly at my name placed first. First in the school, 18th in the province. Accepted into Tsinghua University. Old classmate saw me from afar and walked over. Xin Zi. Congratulations on your acceptance into Tsinghua University. I smiled and thanked the teacher. But how come Gu Xingjian didn't come with you today? Actually, his score is quite high, though he might get adjusted if he goes to Tsinghua. But repeating a year isn't bad either. He'll definitely be able to get into the same school as you next year. This kid is indeed quite infatuated. In all these years as a teacher, it's the first time I've seen a student repeat a year for a girl he likes. Yeah. He's really infatuated. But it's not for me. One day before the start of the semester at Tsinghua, Gu Xingjian suddenly called me. This was the first time he came to see me since he started attending tutoring classes. The tutoring classes are boarding, so he hasn't come back for the past month. I can only occasionally see glimpses of their daily life at the tutoring center in Qin Ran's friend circle, with photos of them memorizing words together on the playground in the evening, and shadows of them returning to the dormitory after late-night study sessions. If I had seen these before, I would have hidden under my blanket at night, overthinking and doubting myself for a long time. But now I'm about to go to college, and only then do I realize that those who hurt me have all become part of the past. How about we go traveling to Xinjiang together the day after tomorrow? I've called my brothers. And Qin Ran and you. I've already bought the plane tickets and booked the hotel. We'll stay in a suite for just the two of us. And we can go see the sunrise over the Golden Mountain together. Didn't you say you wanted to make a wish facing the mountain? Coincidentally, Qin Ran also said that she's been feeling a bit overwhelmed with study pressure and wants to relax. I scoffed internally. And that's why I said so much. It was also because Qin Ran wanted to go. And she arranged everything without consulting me. I'm not going. Why not? Weren't you always talking about wanting to go to Xinjiang? Yes. I did want to go to Xinjiang. But he didn't ask me whether I wanted to go right after the college entrance exam. Instead, he brought it up when Qin Ran wanted to relax. I don't want a bit of kindness that others give out of pity. I just don't want to go right now. My cold tone left the person across from me silent for a few seconds. I knew he was brewing something. Gu Xingjian said heavily, Xin Zi. What's wrong with you? You refuse to go to the tutoring class I signed you up for. Insist on doing some part-time job. And now when I say I'll take you to Xinjiang, you won't go either. You have to give me a reasonable explanation this time. Right. Fine. You want a reason. My reason is that I don't want to go with you. My tone wasn't any better. All right. Xin Zi. I never knew you had such a bad temper. If you don't go, I'll be staying in the suite with Qin Ran. And I'll see if you end up crying. Suit yourself. I casually brushed it off and hung up the phone. But soon after, I received another message from him. All right. I was in a bad mood earlier. How could I really live with her? I'll be at the airport waiting for you the day after tomorrow. I was speechless, deleted the message, and continued to block that number. Before leaving, I went to the cemetery to pay my respects to my deceased parents. Then I stayed home for the entire night. The next day, I took a midday flight and set off alone on my journey to Tsinghua University. While on the plane, I thought about it and decided to inform Uncle and Aunt Gu about my studying at Tsinghua. Over the past few years, Uncle and Aunt have indeed treated me very well. Even better than they treated Gu Xingjian. So I had no reason not to tell them. Auntie was delighted to congratulate me after she found out. And she also mentioned having Gu Xingjian take good care of me at school. But we didn't discuss anything else. I responded to her one by one, deliberately avoiding mentioning Gu Xingjian's repeating year. As for his matters, let him explain them himself. It turns out that going to college alone isn't so scary after all. After getting off the plane, some senior students from Tsinghua University organized a welcome team, and I was quickly led to the dorm by a few enthusiastic seniors. The girls in the dorm were mostly from the north, and they were very warm-hearted, taking me out for northern specialties that night. I originally thought that growing up in the south would make it hard for me to adapt to the lifestyle in the north, but with my roommates showing me around, I found all the experiences to be quite novel. They even taught me to speak the local dialect. And on the first night, we all chatted in bed until dawn. Once the conversation started, the relationship instantly drew closer. I quickly adapted to university life. And the next day on my way to the freshman orientation, 2 boys asked me for my WeChat. Suddenly, Gu Xingjian called me again. Ziyi, when will you arrive at the airport? We're waiting for you. When I heard his voice, I felt a bit dazed, as if everything that had happened between us was from a past life. I replied bluntly, I'm at Tsinghua University attending the freshman conference. I'm busy. There was a pause on the other end for several seconds. No, Xin Ziyi, you're at Tsinghua University. What kind of joke is that? Gu Xingjian laughed. I'm telling you, that joke of yours isn't funny at all. Where are you now? There's still some time before the plane takes off. If it doesn't work out, I'll come pick you up. I really couldn't hold back, so I repeated what I just said word for word again. Then, I heard someone next to him exclaim, Jian Go. Quickly look at our high school WeChat official account's honor list. Xin Ziyi really got into Tsinghua University. At this moment, the principal delivered a passionate speech at the assembly. It is an honor for all of you students to come to Tsinghua University. The voice from the loudspeaker finally made Gu Xingjian on the opposite side flustered. When he spoke again, his voice trembled uncontrollably. You really went to Tsinghua University? How is that possible? Didn't we agree to repeat the year together? How could you have applied for a different program? Besides, Tsin University is so far away, up north. How could you dare to go there alone? I sighed. I never clearly stated that I would repeat the year with you. Besides, if you decided to repeat a year just because of Qin Ran, then for me to accompany you would be too inconsiderate. But I've told you so many times about the plans after repeating a year, and you never disagreed even once. You think you know, but how could you possibly go to Tsinghua? You aren't sulking with me because of Qin Ran, are you? I really was just feeling soft-hearted for a moment when she cried and said she didn't do well on the college entrance exam. Afraid that if we all left, she'd be left alone to repeat a year and would get depressed. You once got depressed too because of uncle and aunt. You know how terrifying that can be. She's not as good academically as we are. She doesn't have the luxury of choice. Gu Xingjian said a whole lot in a flustered manner, but I had no reaction. All I could hear were countless versions of her. And at that moment, he was still considering things from Qin Ran's perspective, completely disregarding my feelings. Qin Ran's grades were mediocre. She was still several points away from being able to enter a good school to pursue an art career. So she wanted to repeat the year. She wanted someone to accompany her. Why should I bet my own future to fulfill her desire? I have no reason to think about her. I just need to think about myself. Gu Xingtian, since you care about her so much, what else is there to be dissatisfied with now that you've already accompanied her in repeating a year? I think Qin Ran isn't really pleased about me repeating either, and hanging around you all day. From now on, we are just ordinary friends. I hope you won't disturb my life anymore. Immediately after, there was only a cacophony in my ears, and I hung up the phone. I thought this would be the final farewell. After all, we are separated by thousands of miles, with so many arguments standing between us. But the next evening, Gu Xingjian unexpectedly appeared before me. At that time, I was not alone. There was also a classmate beside me, holding a stack of materials just like I was. He is quite tall, with deep-set features, fitting the type of handsome at first glance. We were assigned to the same experimental group and are now getting ready to head to the cafeteria for lunch together. As we chatted and laughed, we spotted Gu Xingjian standing not far ahead, looking dejected, with the streetlight casting a long shadow behind him, perhaps due to his hurried arrival. He looked quite tired, but in his casual outfit paired with a duckbill hat, he remained clean and fresh. Still the same sunlit school heartthrob from high school. He carried a backpack slung diagonally over his shoulder, looking like he had just rushed in from somewhere, though I had already let go. Seeing him again inevitably left me a little dazed. He walked towards me without shifting his gaze. I have something I want to discuss with you privately. Is that okay? After saying this, he swallowed hard, nervously awaiting my response. The boy next to me asked, "Is there anything I can help you with?" I sighed. "I'm sorry, I can't have lunch with you. Also, I need to trouble you to bring the materials to the lab group tomorrow." "It's no problem. If you need anything later, just call me." After he left, it was just me and Gu Xingjian left. He chased over from such a distance and wouldn't leave until he finished his words. I just didn't expect his first sentence to be, "You've only just started school a few days ago. You should be careful of the opposite sex who are particularly attentive to you." I scoffed. "Is that what you came to tell me? It doesn't seem to concern you, does it? Making friends or dating in college is completely normal." Gu Xingjian was momentarily taken aback by my words, and his tone softened considerably. "I don't know why you didn't stay with me to retake the year. I must have been too confident, and I apologize to you. I thought that whatever decision I made, you would follow me." I interrupted him. "I never promised to retake the year with you, especially since it was you who first broke our agreement to attend Tsinghua University together. But in the past, no matter what I did, you always silently followed me. I told you so many times about my plan to retake the year. Why would you hide your enrollment in Tsinghua from me?" Gu Xingjian asked, somewhat agitated, gripping my arm tightly. "But you are repeating the year for Qinran. Do you expect me to gamble my future for your sake?" I shot back, staring at him. "No. I may have been overconfident about our feelings. I thought that it wouldn't matter if we repeated a year, as long as we were still together. Have you forgotten? After your parents passed away, I promised to give you a home. And you agreed. I even planned for us to get married after we graduated from college." At this point, Gu Xingjian's voice choked up. I shook off his hand. "But you have never truly considered my feelings. It was only when I learned you decided to repeat a year for Qinran that I realized you didn't understand me at all. Perhaps you thought that just because you mentioned wanting to apply to Tsinghua University, I would follow along with that promise. But the truth is, even without you, I would still apply to Tsinghua University, because it is my parents' alma mater, and they devoted their lives to the aerospace industry. So from that moment on, I secretly made a decision I wanted to enroll in Tsinghua's aerospace program to continue the dreams my parents couldn't fulfill." Gu Xingjian was stunned. "But you never talked to me about any of this before." I smiled softly. At that time, I truly and naively believed that Gu Xingjian was the one who understood me the most. He understood my predicament, understood my embarrassment. So he reached out his hand to me. Looking back now, perhaps back then, he was just as pitiful as Qinran is today, feeling sorry for me, who had just lost my parents. In the end, I spoke to him at length, which can be seen as an account of our youth to each other. "Gu Xingjian, do you know? Actually, I just realized that I've only ever felt gratitude towards you. Grateful for the warmth you gave me like home during my most difficult days." Gu Xingjian's eyes glimmered with tears. His lips trembled for a long time before he finally spoke. "Really? Is it only gratitude?" Later, I heard from my dorm mates that the boy who came to find me stood in the rain all night and only left when the sun rose. Just when I thought my story with Gu Xingjian was about to turn a page, Aunt Gu called me. I'm really sorry for you. Over the past year, while your uncle and I were busy with the company's listing. We have truly neglected you. I didn't expect Xingjian actually chose to repeat a year, while you went to Qingda. It must be that jerk who did something wrong that made you upset. I thought she was trying to persuade me to reconcile with Gu Xingjian, but instead, she said, "Don't worry. Your Uncle Gu has already given him a good beating, and now he can't even get out of bed." Aunt Gu. Actually, we don't have any conflict. It's just that our choices are different, I explained. Also to set boundaries with Gu Xingjian. Aunt understands. Your choice is right, but I just hope you don't become distant from Uncle and Aunt because of Xingjian. At this moment, I heard a clear sob on the other end of the call. In fact, I haven't had the chance to tell you. Your mother and I were close friends who grew up together. The night of the incident with her and her husband, I was thinking about bringing you over to raise you. I never expected that this kid, Gu Xingjian, was actually a step ahead of us. Hearing this, perhaps it reminded me of the time when my parents were still alive, and I couldn't help but burst into tears. It turned out that the Gu family treated me well, not because Gu Xingjian liked me, but because of my parents. Upon learning the truth, I felt a great sense of relief. The heavy burden that had pressed on my heart suddenly vanished. Auntie. Thank you. Silly child. You're doing well at university. If you have any difficulties, just tell Auntie. Don't forget to come home and see Uncle and Auntie during the holidays. Mei Chim. I nodded, crying. I never expected that I could still have a home. Later, I focused on my studies at Tsinghua University. From chatting with Aunt Gu, I learned that Gu Xingjian had been very quiet during this year of repeating a year, as if he had been holding his breath. One time, when I went to his room to deliver some fruit, I saw a Tsinghua University admission brochure stuck to his desk. The summer of the following year, I received a long-lost message on my phone. Ge. I got into Tsinghua University. I hesitated for a moment, but still replied, "Congratulations. However, I will be going abroad as an exchange student in the new semester, so I won't be able to welcome you." Then, that message went unanswered. From then on, a new chapter of my life truly began, occasionally recalling the bits and pieces of my youth. I can only lower my head and smile. In the future, a vast sky awaits my exploration.